Talk about student loans. This week, President Biden changed what economic opportunity looks like for millions of Americans. As we mentioned earlier, his student debt relief plan cancels $20,000 in loans for borrowers who receive Pell Grants and $10,000 in loans for others. It also extends the pause on repayments until December. And once those payments resume, borrowers can no longer be charged more than 5% of their income. Somebody say bye-bye high interest rates. Activists made student debt relief an issue that could not wait. And President Biden delivered on his promise. Both, in my opinion, should be commended. Instead, there's been a lot of criticism and pushback, with some saying that it will hurt the economy. But this isn't the first time the federal government has offered bailouts. It did it with Wall Street, the auto industry, airlines, farmers, and don't y'all get me started on the PPP loans. Now we are finally giving a piece of that pie to individual Americans who took on large amounts of debt just to get an education. My next guests are here to share their thoughts on all of this. Tyleek McMillan is a board member for the Association of Young Americans and the former National Director of Youth and College for the National Action Network. Jessica Brown is here. She is the founder and president of College Girl and the author of the book, How to Pay for College When You're Broke. I asked her how you pay for college when you're broke. She told me all about it. All right, so Jessica, I want to start with you. What is your reaction? Give me your initial thoughts. What do you think this relief is going to mean for students across the country and borrowers?
Well, for me, the relief is just a little bit of relief, right? $20,000 if you received a Pell Grant, $10,000 if you didn't receive a Pell Grant. I mean, that's probably barely paying the interest on some of these student loans. And additionally, this plan doesn't address, what about parents who have Parent Plus loans, who are now risking their retirement for their child to have an education? Also, the relief of college is just way too expensive. In 1980, according to the National Center of Education Statistics, a tuition was $10,231, whereas now tuition has skyrocketed 180% to $28,775 a year. America has a true problem, and we need to figure out how to fully eliminate student loans.
So you ain't happy about this plan?
No, I'm not happy.
Oh, Lord. Okay, Tyleek, look. I think that let's talk about the impact for black borrowers. Right. We're going to put this up on the screen for folks so they can see. But with the average black college graduate owes over $52,000, while white graduates owe an average of $28,000. From my perspective, where I said, I think this debt plan disproportionately will help impact borrowers of color, particularly black borrowers. How do you see it?
Yeah, I agree. I think this is an opportunity as we talk about the racial wealth gap in this country. This is an opportunity for folks to be able to invest in businesses and invest in, and buy homes. And so, as I said before, I think this is a step, not the entire staircase, but I think what the president did shows what is possible. And shout out to all the organizers and activists who are on the ground. I think this is a win. We celebrate the small wins, but we're not comfortable or complacent when we know we can always achieve more.
Yes, I really do believe that it was the activists and advocates that elevated this issue. This is something that the president cared about. It's a campaign promise he made, and I believe he was always going to keep it. The urgency of the issue came from the activists and advocates, but you just heard Jessica. It ain't enough.
Not enough.
It's not enough. And so what more would you like to see?
I think when we talk about the full cancellation of student debt, as I said before, folks should not have to
From the White House or from Congress?
From Congress, from future presidents. I think this sets a standard of how we see this issue being addressed. As I said before, when we look at education, it should not be a privilege, but education is a right. As I said before, folks shouldn't have to break their backs. Folks should not have to get on welfare. Folks should not have to work multiple jobs to get education. We talk about affordability and making college free. That's a whole new conversation in itself. But I do think when we address student debt and being able to cancel that and how families can invest in their futures to be able to achieve that American dream, that is what we're on. And we celebrate the win, but there's still so much more left to be done.
Look, I think the way the activists and the advocates sit outside the White House, they need to go ahead and get outside Chuck Schumer's office and ask him for a bill. Jessica, a couple weeks ago, I actually talked to some borrowers who had student loans. We had them here on the show. And they said that they didn't understand the gravity of the loans that they were taking out when they were 18 years old and taking them out. So do you think that part of what is needed going forward is education for future borrowers at the time before they even take these loans out?
Yes, I completely agree. And I feel like these institutions have to educate their students, right? It shouldn't just be like, if you want to go here, sign on this dotted line. No, it needs to be, what am I signing? What is the breakdown of this? The student Student Aid has a student loan estimator tool that you can estimate the cost of what you may need to borrow, and understanding to borrow what you need and not what you want. The school has an obligation to these kids to make sure that these students thoroughly understand what student loans are, because it's not until they graduate that they get this bill that they have to repay that they had no idea, or they receive these refunds that they're thinking is free money for homecoming to buy drip, and come to find out that's money that they have to pay back in the long run. So I think it's so important that institutions begin to step up with their customer service experience to help these students understand what they're signing up for to ensure that their graduates achieve financial freedom.
Look, we talked a little bit about on the show already about the clapback of the White House earlier this week. What did y'all think about the White House providing some receipts to some of our Republican friends?
I think it was amazing. I think, you know, a lot of times we hear all this conversation around folks who are against it, or who but on the back end they got loans forgiven on their end, or even this conversation where I hear folks talk about, you know, well, I paid my way through college, or I worked 2 or 3 jobs. The fact of the matter is, you should not have to do all that. And like I said, break your back to achieve education, because it is a right, not a privilege.
Jessica, you got the last word on this one.
I completely agree. I mean, you done got 6 to 7 figures forgiven in your PPP loan, and I'm trying to get my $130,000 in student loan debt forgiven so I can continue to pursue my PhD. So I don't see what the problem is on that. We have a war right now on student loans that we need to concentrate on to ensure that our students are able to matriculate, graduate, and secure all of life's luxuries.
All right. Well, Tyleek, Jessica, thank y'all very, very much. I appreciate y'all for being here today.
Thank you for having me.